On the military side of the war on terrorism, the U.S. Navy is rotating its warships to keep overwhelming firepower within striking distance of Afghanistan. 4 vessels of the carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt's battle group passed through the Suez Canal today to replace ships of the Enterprise battle group, now home or on their way home. As CBS's David Martin reports, the United States is now more actively supporting anti-Taliban forces on the ground and supplying them by air.
In addition to airdropping food to Afghan civilians, the U.S. has now begun parachuting ammunition to Northern Alliance troops fighting the Taliban. But Defense Secretary Rumsfeld says it's slow and cumbersome.
The problem is you drop it with chutes. We don't have airfields that we're using at the present time. You drop it with parachutes, and it gets down on the ground. And it takes a long time to get it from there into a weapon.
Ground transportation in northern Afghanistan is literally a matter of horsepower.
They're moving them frequently, not with vehicles, but with horses and donkeys and mules. And it takes time to get them unpacked and moved out to where the people are.
American Green Berets are also traveling by horseback behind the Northern Alliance lines with satellite phones to call in airdrops and bombing runs, using high-powered binoculars and lasers to pinpoint targets for jets overhead. But 21st century technology still is not error-free, and inevitably a target is misidentified or bombs go astray. But Rumsfeld says the civilian casualties accidentally caused by American bombing are nothing compared to the civilian casualties deliberately caused by the September 11th airliner attacks, which the U.S. blames on Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network and his Taliban protectors.
Responsibility for every single casualty in this war, be they innocent Afghans or innocent Americans, rests at the feet of Taliban and al-Qaeda.
Most of the bombing is now directed at frontline targets near Kabul and Mazar-e Sharif, which has an airfield the U.S. wants to use to fly in supplies. But Taliban troops have a 3 or 4 to 1 advantage. And there is real doubt that even with American airstrikes, the Northern Alliance can seize the airfield before winter. The Pentagon is also considering a plan to set up a base of its own inside Afghanistan from which it could launch ground operations deeper into Taliban-controlled territory. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Defense Secretary Rumsfeld also said today he is, quote, anxious to see the anti-Taliban rebels for what's called the United Front attack Taliban-held cities and airfields. But as CBS's Maureen Maher reports from inside Afghanistan, there are few signs that will happen anytime soon.
In northeastern Afghanistan, the United Front spent today firing off the first rounds in a new offensive against the Taliban. For the first time, U.S. jets ran air raids in the region on Sunday against what the United Front believes could be as many as 25,000 Taliban troops. CBS News was taken to the new front lines by what more closely resembled a ragged militia than a beefed-up military. We're half a mile from the Taliban front lines. Yesterday, U.S. airstrikes attempted to soften them. Today, the United Front is following it up with its own tank fire. Under the umbrella of that tank and other ground fire, the front tried to drive out its enemy. The Taliban responded with little more than sporadic gunfire and shelling. CBS News tried to visit the forward observation tower used to direct the fire, but we were told to leave by the local commander. He claimed 2 Americans were inside, consulting with United Front leaders. That report could not be independently confirmed, but as the Pentagon has said, it is airdropping ammunition to the United Front. The alliance again insists it is ready to take on the Taliban, calling up what it says are veteran combat troops, veterans who have difficulty distinguishing left from right. As the 4th week of the bombing campaign gets underway, it's become clear that America's allies on the ground need more help than was initially thought, or than the United Front is willing to admit. Maureen Maher, CBS News, at the front lines in northeastern Afghanistan.
In Pakistan, religious tensions are running higher after the U.S.-led terror war in Afghanistan touched off such events as a funeral today for Pakistani Christians gunned down during church services yesterday. 3 masked gunmen fired on the Protestant congregation meeting in a Catholic church with automatic weapons, killing at least 16 people. No one has claimed direct responsibility. Coming up next here on the CBS Evening News, flu and anthrax may produce similar symptoms. With flu season here, we'll report to you what you need to know.